What's up, everybody? This is a new platform, so bear with me while I try to figure out what I'm doing and uh, and get this working the way that it's supposed to. Um, but what we're doing today, see, I already messed it up. What we're doing today is interviewing a friend of mine, and it's just really interesting because he's a different demographic than what we usually talk about, which is guys like in their 40s and over. And so I thought it'd be very interesting to get his perspective on what's going on out there in the singles world, and to, talk about the most popular ways that people meet each other these days, what's going on with the guys and what they think about women and relationships, in his age group, which a lot of you are. You're young, in a younger group than me. And I just don't anyway, I just thought it would be a good thing for us to talk about. So let me introduce my guest. Well, he's going to actually introduce himself, but I want to get him on here. This is my friend Glen. Hey Glen, what's up? I'm fine. It's so good to see you. And our little test that we did yesterday has people very happy.
Well, my name is Glen Williams, and I'm 38. I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been living here in the Bay Area for close to 10 years now, and I'm just it's the happy-go-lucky guy. I'm into a lot of creative things. I've done some movies. I'm heavily into music production. Uh, at I'm a sign language interpreter. And I enjoy life. Big sports fans. You can see in the background, I got my Eagle stuff there. And for the record, I am single too.
Okay, so you catch that, ladies? He's single. He's right here in the Bay Area. For all of you living in
Oh,
Oakland and San Francisco, he's trying to get your Mac on. Well, let's get started, Glenn. I wanted to talk about, let's start with a little family history.
hmm
You can't see or hear me. Why can't you hear me? Somebody saying they can't see or hear me. I don't know why that is. I see myself, so I don't know what's going on your end, girlfriend. Anyway, let's talk about, your background, and so coming from the East Coast to the West, that must have been a bit different for you.
Oh, it's a different world. It's a completely different world. The East Coast, outside of the weather, of course, the weather here is second to none. Um, but it's just a different vibe. The people are different. Obviously, it's the different type of geographical landscape there, and a lot of the styles are very different. When I came here, one of the first things that I noticed was that it was very clean.
Yes, and very green compared to the East
Yes.
Coast.
Oh, I'm telling you. I mean, it's night and day. So the East Coast is it's still good in a lot of different ways, but as far as living, here is a lot better. I think just the jobs are better. The people are nicer. The weather is better. And and the women look better too here.
Oh, all right. Look at that. He up there. Y'all hear that? He trying to make brownie points. So tell me,
I'm just being honest. I'm just being
being
honest.
raised on the East Coast, do you find that now that you're out here and have friends on the West Coast, do you find that there's a difference in values and treatment of women and expectations and relationships, things like that?
From my perspective, I don't. I think it was the same, on the East Coast as it is here. Um, I know a lot of it just depends on what age, group that you're in. But for the most part, things are the same. People still, would use an online dating site to hook up. I think, here the women are a little bit more tolerant than the women on the East Coast. Okay, so
Oh, that's putting it mildly.
Yeah, well, I guess you can say that, but that's what I've noticed. I mean, but the treatment I think is generally the same. It's generally the same. But um, I guess I haven't been everywhere. I can't speak for I don't want to speak for the whole coast, but at least in Philadelphia, the treatment, how our men treated women back there is pretty much the same as how a lot of men treat women here.
So do you see the guys online? This has been a very interesting thing because statistics say that Black women are now the most educated demographic in the country. Of course, this
Hmm.
is not reflected economically, but they do go to school. Um, but you hear these guys online saying all the time that what a woman's education and her job and her accomplishments and all of that don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing to us. We don't care about all of that. And so it's making these young girls like feel confused. It's like if they want to get married and have a family, within the marriage, like they were taught to do, not just having babies right and left, then they're their parents and everybody's telling them, well, you need to be a whole and complete person, get your education, do all stuff. But then you have all these guys saying we don't care about that. So they're like, well, if I do this stuff, is it gonna make me disqualified to be with somebody, be someone's wife? What do you think about that mentality? And this is very widespread.
Well, I think I mean anytime you want to enrich your life, go to school, get an education, that's a good thing. But I don't think you should do that, in mind and say, well, if if the guys don't like it, or if it, if the perception of me is going to be a little bit too powerful, then I shouldn't do it. I think you should just try to look for those, who would appreciate it, you know. But I think part of it is that a lot of women are kind of hearkening to a certain type of guy, and it's almost like they, a lot of women maybe are kind of subservient to a certain type of man, and that's what they have in their mind when they think that, like, I may not want to do this, it may not fit the criteria, they may think I'm a little bit too powerful. um so I mean, I think I think
Oh,
you should always still think about going to school, and if it doesn't line up with that person's, with what they want, then hey, you got to go.
yeah. Doses.
Hey, it's just like that.
Yeah, it's sad though that there's you got thousands of these guys making videos and statements basically putting down women for being accomplished and educated and for traveling and broadening their horizons and stuff. They just make it sound like they're doing the wrong thing. So let's get to talking
Yeah.
about this internet dating now, because you shared a very funny story yesterday. And here on the channel, we get a lot of letters. I do my advice column. A lot of letters come in from people saying, "Oh, I met this person on Bumble. I met this person on Tinder. I met this person on whatever else, some kind of swipey thing." And so I make jokes about it and call it the swipey thing.
Right.
And so I wanted to get your take on it, what your experience is with the swipey things, and what do you think is going on in the singles world where so many people are relying on those kind of things to meet people?
Well, I think it from my personal experience, and I've been on Tinder for about a few years now. I've had an active account with them, and I've met a lot of people, and it's very different from the way things used to be done. I'm 38. When I can remember, there was a time where there was none of this. You couldn't go online and just meet someone. You had to go out, whether it was to a bar, or a club, a mall, or if you're just walking down the street. But what I do find is, it's a very convenient way of just like meeting someone, who kind of fits, some of the cosmetics that you may be looking for, but you really have to be careful. It can be quite dangerous, if you don't go in there, go in there being cautious, and just just kind of going head and first. Now, what I find is that everybody's just trying to hook up. Most people, from my experience, are just trying to hook up. It's like, let's me everything. It may seem like it's, hey, let's hang out and everything, but for the majority of people that I've met, they were trying to pretty much go to bed.
Okay, so we're looking at people not really. Okay, a lot of people are afraid to meet people in person because, the people are stalkers and weirdos and freaks and whatnot. And
Mhm.
then now they go online and you're saying that all they want is like a booty call. So this is a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Well, I think if you ever want to, meet someone, you should meet at like, a mutually exclusive place, maybe like a Starbucks or something like that, maybe a restaurant. But what I do is, I think you would be able to find out a lot about people just by the conversation that you're having. I mean, if you have a conversation with someone, you get to see their pictures, their profiles. You kind of can get I guess, a sense of how they are. And if you're comfortable with that, then I would say go meet them. I mean, most people aren't stalkers. Okay, most people aren't stalkers, but there's always a chance that you can get that, that crazy fatal attraction. So I
What
just
I
say
find, they
just
might
like
not be stalkers, but what they are, they cannot accept rejection well.
oh
So they
really?
want to, yeah, they just don't, they just want to call you. I mean, then this is before internet dating.
How
I
many
have to
times
tell
have
this
they been
story.
rejected? Have they been rejected 100 times or once or twice?
Of- I don't know. That's the interesting thing. But next time they come to the channel talking stupid, I'll ask them. But I would tell you this story. I had went to a coworker was having a goodbye party or something at this club, and at the time I was doing photography, and so I
Mhm.
was giving out my business cards to people. And this guy who I thought was part of the group, I mean, I don't know our friends, I gave him one of my cards. And so then he called me and he wasn't calling about social business. He was calling about a social thing. I'm like, dude, I don't, this is about business. I already have a man. I'm not tripping like that. And so he kept calling and leaving these weird messages. And it got so bad. I mean, he was talking about what he was gonna do to me, and it involved like ripping my tongue out, stuffing it. But I mean, this dude was crazy. I met this dude half of the time because all I did was give him my card. I don't even know, it was crazy. And so I had to get my cousin, who's a police officer, and some of his friends to have a conversation with dude before he would leave me alone. It
Wow.
was wild. So when I hear these stories of women who meeting dudes online and they do that kind of stuff, I can relate because that was a personal thing that really happened to me. Nutcase.
Yeah, well, you want to be careful, just like anything else in life, you want to proceed with caution. Um, I mean, 'cause the reality is, you can meet someone in person and they can still stalk you.
Yeah.
So if someone is intent on stalking you, they'll try to make that successful. But for the most part, it's okay. I haven't had any issues, and I hope that anyone who goes on Tinder, they won't have to experience anything like that.
Well, tell us about some of your, dating stories. I'm all ears.
Well, like I said, I've been on for about a few years, and I've met quite a few people, and it's a mixed bag. You get some nice people, and then you get some people who aren't so nice. And as we went over yesterday, I told you about the woman who was like an undercover alcoholic, and
She wasn't even undercover. she,
well, she
she,
would, actually, I think she was because she was sneaking and drinking. Like I didn't see her take a drink. I didn't.
oh,
Yeah, but I figured it out after I had after I smelled alcohol on her breath and everything. So yeah, she was slick. But I mean, I've met a few people. I would say this other person that I met was really nice. And we dated for a few months. But then after that, we pretty much disconnected.
oh.
I mean, it's a mixed bag. You just keep on trying until you get that right match. And I met a lot of nice people, though. To be honest, I met a lot of nice people, but everybody is trying to hook up.
Well, y'all hear that? Okay, so all these people are wondering now, what exactly is Mr. Glenn looking for?
You know what? I'm a simple guy. I'm a really simple guy. I just want someone who's who's beautiful inside and out, and it's just really down to earth. Um, it's independent. I would say understanding. Someone who was really understanding, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't need too much. Just someone who's going to match my personality, and we're going to be compatible. And it's not easy to find. I've met a lot of nice women, a lot of beautiful women, but I'm very reserved, and and I'm patient. So I'm just waiting for that to find the right one, and then we'll see what happens from there.
That's the wise thing to do because you just never know. Um, I'm trying to see if they have any questions in here. Oh, she's one little says that they can say and will say anything online.
Oh, she said, say that again.
She said that they can and will say anything online. So, getting offline where you actually spend time with them is where you actually get to see who the person really is. I think that's what
That
she's
is
trying to say.
that is 100% correct. Anyone can send you a message, and you'll have it sound good or tell you whatever you want, but you're only going to get to know someone by spending time with them, and I mean an extended period of time.
Right.
I mean, I've known people who seemed so good in the beginning. I mean, it was like, this is too good to be true. And then, as time goes on, you say, oh, wait a minute, this is the person that I swipe right to. So,
It's like, oh no, I made a mistake.
oh
I
my
need a
God. I
do-over.
mean, well,
So how does
I had this one girl who, I matched with, and we were seeing each other for a while, and she was kind of feeling me a lot more than I was feeling her. And so I told her in a nice way, I thought she was really nice, but I prefer that we just go our separate ways. And she was upset about that, and so she kind of mildly stalked me for a little while, with the phone calls and the text messages, and it got to be annoying after a while. I mean, I actually had to block this girl from my phone. I had to put the block up on there, and just prevent her from contacting me. So it can get a little crazy. That is true.
Yeah, I have when I block people, what I do is I change their name in my phone to do not answer. So, and then you know how you can't have the same name? So I would have do not answer 1 through like 90. I could have no idea who these people are. All I know is when that flashes up, I would follow the instructions. Do not answer the phone. And then after a while they
That's
stop
funny.
calling. I'm telling you, you got to
Y-
you got to put barricades up.
Well, you got weirdos out here. I mean, you got a lot of weirdos out here, and we know everybody's horny, but God, you don't have to perpetrate and go that far. So
Well, my thing is, it's like, golly, it's like, don't you people have any concern about diseases and dying and stuff? I mean, a lot of stuff it won't kill you, but you will be all kinds of jacked up for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be like that. I'm too vain. I don't want nothing icky on me. I don't want nothing oozing. Nothing. No, I don't want anything crawling, itching, boils. Nothing. No, I don't want none of none of that. I don't want to look
you
at.
would
I want
think
to
that
see
people.
smooth brown skin. That's it.
That's right. I know that's right. But you would think people would think about that more often. But just in my personal experience, it seems like it falls by the wayside far too often. And I think part of it is that sex is powerful. Let's face it, and attraction is too. And we're all human, so a lot of people may not think about those things in the moment,
Right.
but if you don't, then there could be consequences for that. So you always have to keep that in mind. Safety should always be first, and pretty much anything you do in life.
I am with you.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody says, can you ask him from a man's point of view, does a woman's dress size really matter if everything else about her is awesome? Personality, facial beauty, education, spirituality, etc.
So does her dress size matter? Like, does her weight matter?
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what she means, like her.
To me, it really doesn't matter. What's on the inside matters most. But teach his own. Some people, like them thin. Some people like them thick. I'm the type of guy. I love it all. I love thick women, thin, medium size. All different types of women are beautiful. But I don't think it matters. It shouldn't matter. But another guy may come over here and say, well, hey, I don't like big women, or I don't want someone who wears a big dress. So it all depends on the person. But for me, I'm okay with it. I've been with some thicker girls. I've been with thinner women, and so I enjoy both.
Yeah, when I was down in Texas, if you were skinny, you didn't get no play. It's like they was like, "I can't mess with you because you might break," you know? It's like, I heard all kind of stuff, and I heard this dude was, like, telling me, that from California, "Girl, you too skinny," because that's what I used to run. And
Mhm.
I was like a stick, and so he was like, "You too skinny, I need me a big girl." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, because big girls," what'd he say? "Big girls are heat in the winter and shade in the summer."
Oh, I've heard that before. That's something that a lot of people used to say back home in Philly. But one of the things I also noticed is that it's a lot of thicker women on the East Coast too. We were just talking about the differences from East and West, and the women on the East Coast are a lot thicker. As the average woman is a lot bigger. Part of it could be because the food is so good back there. I mean, you got cheese steaks, you got
Whatever,
Italian food,
whatever.
you got all the good stuff back there, the good fried foods, the seafood, it's really, really good. So, they chow down a lot.
Whereas we eat wheatgrass.
Yeah, it's more health conscious out here,
Yeah.
back home, people like, let me get a cheese steak and the cheese fries, I want salt, pepper, ketchup on it. Here, it's like, can I have a salad, please?
Yes. Salad with some oil and vinegar dressing.
Don't forget the lemon.
So I know people who don't live out here probably are like, "What? Who would eat that nasty stuff?" But that's how we eat
When I
out
got
here.
here,
Yeah, that's how we eat out here. So let's
you
see if
know,
there's something else over here. He said they look better in the West. Yes, he did. Uh,
that is
well,
true.
Hazel says there's more big people on the West Coast. Well, he's talking about from his perspective. He's not talking about people. He's talking about women in his age group that he would date. So come on now, you can't discredit what he says is his experience. We don't do that here. You know what I mean? It's like telling women, well, men don't stalk you, and then we telling them that they do, and they saying, well, no, well, I haven't seen it, but so that makes it be not true because you haven't seen it. You have a different opinion. Fuck out of here with that. That's
Well,
not what we
yeah.
do here.
Well, I mean, it's thick women out here too. It's thick women everywhere you go. But overall, just from what I've noticed, women were a lot thicker on the East Coast, and yeah, I think they eat more. I mean,
And it just
for what
exercising, I think, is not as big there as it is here, or even down south.
I
Because here
agree.
everybody goes to the gym and goes jogging and walking around Lake Merritt and walking through Golden Gate Park and just, riding their bikes up and down the street. We have bike lanes all in all the cities and
That's
stuff.
right.
So, it's like it's encouraged. Health consciousness is in the culture out here.
It is, which is a good thing. I mean, that's a great thing. I mean, that's one of the main things I enjoy about being here. Is that it's more health conscious, and I'm eating better myself. I mean, who knows if I was still eating cheesesteaks and cheese fries for all these years, I'd been had a heart attack.
Dude, two
So,
or three, triple bypass, all kind of stuff. You know?
but yeah, that's a good thing about out here. I mean, this is a great place to be. To be honest with you, I mean, if you're living here in California, you're probably living in the best state in the country.
My home state, born and raised in San
I'm
Francisco.
serious. I'm serious. It's number one.
Okay, so let's talk about so if say someone is gonna use since you have all this experience in online dating, say a woman was using, one of the swipey things or some dating site, what tips would you give her to weed out the knuckleheads? Are there anything that you've seen or heard that you think will be like a major red flag that women should be aware of?
Well, I think for one, you always want to talk to the person. Okay. When you swipe right and you guys match, you'll be able to communicate. You'll be able to send each other text messages. So just ask them some evoking questions. If that's not enough, then maybe talk to them on the phone. Ask, hey, let's exchange numbers, let's talk. And kind of get to find out who they are from there. See if this person sounds okay, if they're kosher. It's like, okay, this person sounds like a decent individual. I could probably meet this person, at a Starbucks or a restaurant or something like that.
Hmm. Somebody has asked, do you date black women or do you date others?
I date human beings, black, white, Asian. It doesn't matter. I mean, to me, it's all about the person.
That's,
It's all
and
about
that's
the.
pretty common out here. I think a lot of people don't, because in certain other parts of the country, there's not that much, racial mixing. But out
Right.
here, everybody date everybody. The Asian men date black women. The black women date Mexican. I mean, it just everybody dates everybody, and so that kind of question is kind of. I mean, I guess it's a valid question, but depending upon where you live, out here
Yeah.
it's like a non-issue. You walk up and down the street, you see every kind of person with every other kind of person, and not even be tripping.
In a way, I kind of like that. I think it's just a reflection of how far we come. As a society, where we no longer let race be a barrier to love. But some people have their preferences. I have a lot of my friends. They say, man, I need the sisters. And some other friends will say, hey, if it ain't white, it ain't right. you
Dang.
know, so I mean, it's a mixed bag. Everyone has their own personal preferences, their own personal experiences, and which made them, the way they are today. But for me, I've dated everything. I've dated black women, white women, Asian women, Mexican. I've had a taste of it all. So I mean, it's good stuff about everybody. It's good stuff about everyone. It just depends on the flavor you want. I mean,
Hmm.
some people like pepperoni, some people like sausage. It just depends on what you like.
You're getting dark there. Do you have some more light you can put on? We're losing
It's
you.
okay. You want some light? Let's get here. I got you. Sorry.
Yeah, Lacey, I'm telling you, it's like people don't, but that's not like necessarily like that in other parts of the country, like it is here. And I respect that, it's just very different. Okay, there you go. Now we
Okay.
can see you
All
better.
right. All right.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
So
What I
yeah, you
wanted
see me
to
better
ask
now.
you next is we were talking about the hidden agendas and what kind of things that women might want to look for or hear guys say to know that maybe this is not quite what he's representing, is not quite the reality. What do you think?
I think I'm not really too sure. I mean, I speak with the women, but I think anytime you're trying to find out who someone is, you want to be more, like I said, you want to be inquisitive. And one of the things I think you want to look out for are guys who are so quick to show you, their private. I mean, from my understanding, a lot of guys, show pics of their penises. Like
Yeah.
they go ahead and take pictures, and they'll just go ahead and send it to you.
And
I've
the
heard that.
main thing is you don't even ask for it. They just send it to
Right.
you. Like they send you a hello wave or something. It's like, excuse you.
Well, you know what? That's because this generation, I mean, now that's what a lot of girls actually like. If you can believe it or not. Now, you
I
know,
know they men say that, but I have yet to meet one of them women. Have y'all met any of them women? It's like,
well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. A lot of those women are probably not going to come out and say that they like that. A lot of women are probably going to keep it on a low. Like, that's what they're pretty much on Tinder for. They want to hook up. I've been with,
oh, okay.
I've actually matched with a woman who asked me to send a picture. After 5 minutes of talking with her, she's like, "Well, can you send me a pic, of your private part so I can see what you're working with?" And
Okay, now
you
were
know,
you
so
talking to her on the phone or was this? typing
No,
talk?
no, we were actually just just texting,
See, when they do that and they text, I am suspicious that it's not a woman. I swear.
Hey, you could be right about
You
that.
know, that's why I asked, because now if you heard her voice, then yes, we could say for sure that that was a woman. But if it's just typing, you don't know what was on the other side of that keyboard. And so that to me is always, an issue, because I think men are more interested in what other dudes are working with than women. But we just want to know, we have to like you first. Okay,
Right.
if we like you, then that there's some flexibility there. Yeah, we can work with whatever it is you got. But if you just, I'm trying to be delicate here.
Work with everything. I know you ain't sit there and tell that lie. You can work with
No,
anything.
no. Yeah, there you go, Crystal. Exactly. So, we don't, you don't know what you're talking to on the phone. I mean, on over the internet. And that's why I'm like, I want to hear your voice and I need to see your face. And, I can tell if it's somebody who's not really who they claim to be. I'd be like, I grew up in San Francisco. I know I could tell like from a mile away. Cut my teeth watching it before they even called it trans. I knew what that was. So,
Well,
all right, then. And I'm
they got
looking. You talk. I'm gonna look and see if anybody else got some questions.
they got this thing now where people you will get catfished, and that's happened to me as well. And that's when someone, like may post a picture of them, of what appears to be them, but it's not really them. And you meet
Right.
them in person, and it's a completely different person, and that happened to me before, and
What? I want to hear about this.
yeah, so I had to leave. So I matched with this girl. Her pictures were stunning, and she looked really good. And I was like, I'm going to go meet her. So we start talking, and about a week or so later, we decided to meet up. And I forget the restaurant we were at, but we got there, and I'm texting her saying I'm here, and she said I'm here too, and I'm looking around. I'm saying, well, to myself, I don't see I don't see, it doesn't look like, next thing you know, this person walks up to me and she says, "Are you Glenn?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm Glenn." And she said, "Hi, I'm so and so." And it was nothing. I mean, I've never recognized this girl in my life. I wouldn't know her from a can of paint.
Oh
The
my
pictures
God.
that she had on Tinder were completely different than than what she looked like in person. But I think it was her, but it was like maybe old pictures, maybe it's something from years ago. But she was a lot heavier. And not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it just wasn't what I was expecting.
Right.
And and to be quite honest, she looked a little bit more worn down, like she's been through the Civil War or something.
Oh
So
shoot.
she had bags under her eyes, and so I end up we still ate and everything. I was a gentleman about it, and but after that, I I left and I never called her back, and she tried to call me. I never even answered the phone.
No. Yeah. No.
Some
I
people
don't know.
consider that really mean. Some people consider that really mean and cold.
Yeah, they do. And they say, they got dumped. And I'm like, you didn't even have a relationship with this person. How did you get dumped? What are you talking about? You had one date with the person that didn't work. I mean, let's move on here, okay?
That's right. That's right. And she didn't even look like. I mean, she, putting, it's false advertising. You can't have that.
Yeah, see, I'm more likely to put up a picture of me looking ugly than show up with my gorgeous self. And they'll be like, "Oh, is that you?" I'll be like, "Yes."
It's impossible for you to put up an ugly picture.
I'll
Come
find one. I'll make one. I'll put a wart on my nose. So somebody wants to know what you think about these men who lead in their personal ads talking about how much money they have. Have you seen those?
Yeah, yeah. I've seen things like that, or I've heard of it. I know a few people that actually do that. It's just
What is
using what
that? What is that about?
well, I mean, it's just guys using what they got to, to to get what they want. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of women, fall prey to money. They like guys who have a lot of money, and that's something that catches people's eyes. And after a time or two of success, you want to keep on doing it. And so that's what happens. A lot of guys are looking for the girls who just want a guy with a lot of money. And so the guys, they use it to their advantage.
Ooh.
This
just sounds just so, it just sounds like so much work. I mean, when did dating get to be so agonizing and so much work? It used to be fun. What happened? When I was young, it was fun. I don't know. Now it's just like sounds exhausting.
Well, it's actually pretty easy. It is very easy. You get an account, a few pictures come up, you swipe through the pictures, they have a little spiel that they might give about themselves, and you either swipe left or swipe right. And if they swipe right, too, then you guys will match.
Oh, I see. That's how it works. Okay.
Yeah, it's really simple. I mean, I think the more complicated stuff is actually going out and meeting someone, you know. I mean, I've swiped and matched with, 50, 60, 100 people that I've never even spoke to, never even replied.
So
I
what
mean,
happens? Okay, so when you match them, but do they get like a notice or something? I mean, how do they
yeah, I
know
mean,
that you
both you
match?
guys would have to swipe right for, it'll pop up on your screen and say it's a match.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it has to be a mutual thing. Like you can swipe right on somebody, and if they don't swipe right on you, then you guys won't match. But if you match, you guys can connect, and of course you'll have like a little form that to send texts and kind of communicate and get to know each other a little bit further from there.
Okay.
It's simple though. I actually think it's cool. I like the old school way too because eventually you have to meet someone in person anyway.
Right.
But this is a good way. At least you can see something about the person before you actually meet him.
Well,
Instead
I
of kind
had
of
one
going in.
date. I have to tell you, it wasn't the swipey things. It was, I think it was Match.com.
Mhm,
Some friends of mine set up they wanted me to get back out into dating world. This was years ago. And so they set up an account for me on Match.
mhm,
Right. And so I matched with some guy. Anyway, they set up the date for me. So I went to meet him. And I had talked to him on the phone and stuff, and he sounded like a normal person. He worked for Bechtel, he's an engineer and seemed like a sane person. Why did I get to this date and this man had lied about his age? He said he was 45. He looked more like he was 65. And he was like so small. He tells me that he could shop in the boys department. Glenn.
oh my goodness!
I was
I
so
mean,
through. And then he said that he didn't smoke. I told him I don't like smokers. And so then he came in there reeking like an ashtray, which he had been smoking in his car, right? Just like this cloud of cigarette smoke just drifting up. And I'm sitting there looking at this man like, okay, you done told 3 fabulous lies. And so, but we was at my favorite restaurant. So I, went on with the date. And even the date was horrible. The conversation was horrible. I was just like, oh my God. And he wanted to take me somewhere after the dinner. I said no. I had a fake like I had a headache, and I left and met up with my girlfriends at the club, and they was telling about the date while I was partying without him. Oh my God, it was unbelievable. That was my one internet dating experience, and after that, I told him, "Close that thing. I'm not doing this anymore."
well, oh man, I know that had to be a lot of fun,
Oh,
but
it was hilarious. What I mean, telling the story now, it's hilarious because nobody would believe that really happened. But this is a true story. This happened to me.
well, lying is one of like the age-old tricks used just to get what you want. So a lot of guys and females too, just people in general, they lie to get what they want. And if a guy likes you, he wants to get in your pants, but he maybe isn't confident that he could do that without having to fabricate a few things. That's the extent he'll go. And the same thing for females. I mean, when they want something, you know, uh, lying is not out of the question.
Ew. But I mean, it's like it's gonna come out sooner or later. Why? And plus, I'm the kind I can't remember. I told you earlier, I can't remember jokes and I can't remember lies. I barely remember the truth. So what would I look like trying to come up with some fantabulous lie that I would forget 2 days later? That's why I always just tell the truth, no matter how much it might be hurtful to people. I just tell it like
Right.
it is, because that's just the way it is. I know I have a bad attitude and I'm short and evil. And I
Well, that's the way us normal folks we think about it like that. But someone who lies consistently, they kind of, in their mind, it's like, this is an art. They can still get away with it. And when I was younger, I used to do that. I mean, I come from a poor family, so I was really, really poor. So I would lie all the time. This is back in my teenage years. I would lie about everything. Like, you know, um,
I can't even see you
I,
like that.
I mean, just about every little thing. But over time, you realize that you're never going to be able to truly connect with someone unless you keep it real. You got to keep it real about who you are, and it's liberating. It liberates you, liberates yourself, and it's the pathway to true happiness. So, lying is not going to get you anywhere.
Oh, they in here, they mad at you for saying females.
Well, it's everybody, males, females. Hey,
Yeah.
y'all ain't exempt. Yeah.
Now they like to say, ladies, women, whatever. Because sometimes when the guys say, them females, they put like this negative, you've heard it, that
Yeah, I
negative
heard that. Yeah,
connotation on it.
yeah.
And so people are a little sensitive
I
to that
understand.
term.
Well, I have,
Yeah.
the utmost respect and love for all the women, all the ladies, so hopefully
Yeah.
they
They
didn't take it
like,
that
I
way.
hate that term. I hate that term.
Yeah, people
So
lie. I mean, like I
I'm
said,
just
I
letting
mean,
you know. So, if you're in mixed company in the future, that might be like something to consider.
hey, well, just that catfish story let you know right there. That was a lie. She was a
Yeah.
lie, and I, that's all I have to say about that.
Yes, I understand. So what kind of stuff, okay, when you're out looking for the person that you want to be with, I can take it your ultimate goal. You want to get married and have you some little Glen and some little Glenettes. Glen teachers.
uh,
So
I
what
would,
what
yeah, I
kind of
mean, but
values did you learn, from your family about mate selection?
well, so I think it was a combination of things that I learned from my family, and things that I also observed
Mm,
from like my friends and maybe some other relatives and just people that was in my circle, and you know, just everyone. I think part of it is the don't rush into anything. I've noticed that a lot of relationships are rushed into. You're physically attracted to someone, you guys are hitting it off for a couple of days, and then bam, you're all over each other. And before you know it, a month has passed, and you guys are deep in. You're going on vacations together, and you're intimate all the time. You can't leave each other alone, but it takes time. It takes
right.
time, and you know, um, a lot of my friends and family have been in relationships where it happens so fast. It happens so fast, and before they can even get to really know each other, the bottom fell out of everything. So, um,
Oh,
yeah. So I mean, I've just learned just to kind of take your time, and also, another thing is just to be faithful, man. Really know what you want. Man, once you got it, be happy with that, and move on. I know a lot of people have had like a lot of great wives and great girlfriends, and they screwed it up just for a piece of what. So, I just kind of notice some things, and I kind of take that approach to life just to kind of
mhm.
model and observe what not to do, so to speak.
Oh, yes. Let me give you some dap on that because that is the thing I think that a lot of young dudes don't get. They don't observe that way that you do to see, okay, well, maybe that didn't work out too well over there, what he's doing. So why should I do that? Now he's sitting up there,
Right.
he messed over his wife. He met his kids don't want to talk to him. And he's an old man alone in a nursing home and don't nobody want to come visit him because he was, he dogged folks out and broke their hearts and stuff. So, but a lot of guys, they don't look at, they don't see that. They don't perceive the behavior and the repercussions from that behavior.
Well, yeah, I agree. But you know what? It's difficult, and you know, women are very attractive, and men are very weak to that. Men are very weak to that. I mean, that's just one of the facts of life, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's an excuse, but it's the truth, and it's something that's going to take a lot of willpower to to sustain from me, and to abstain, to stay away, and to stay faithful. I mean, it's challenging every day, and especially if you're if you're a good looking guy, you may be well off, and people kind of flock to you. You're going to have women who are going to test you, and you know you know it's just globs of women out there, and I mean, it takes a lot from a guy to stay faithful. And I know that because it took a lot from me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so many people out there, and there are things about people that you may like and you may find attractive. You say, okay, this person's nice and everything, but you gotta stay faithful though.
Well, my thing is, because it's the same thing with women. If you a good looking woman, dudes are gonna be coming up to you all the time. And it's a thing. Sometimes, your man could be just right over there. I've had that happen right in the same room. You think they care? They don't care. They still gonna be trying to, shoot their shot. But what I think the thing that people have to do is understand that they have to do a cost benefit analysis right there on
That's
the
true.
spot. This let's look at this maturely from a perspective of value. Is
Mm,
that over there the unknown, that little trinket person that's flip-flopping around in your face, is that going to be more value than what you have? Are you willing to risk everything? And I'm a gambler, but even I wouldn't
mm.
do that. Are you willing to risk everything in this pot for that unknown over there behind door number 2?
uh,
See, and when you
you know
start
what?
thinking
You
about it like
shouldn't.
that, you be like, hmm.
You shouldn't, but you know what? I think that's not the mindset going into it. It should be, but it's not always. It's just like your eyes are on the prize. Guys don't think about it like that, and perhaps a lot of ladies don't think of it that way either. It's just like I want what I want, and while I'm in this moment right now, I'm just overwhelmed with emotion, and all I can see is what I see. Just
That
like
is
a
so
gambler.
that's immaturity. That's immaturity.
It
And
is. It is.
and that's the kind of thing that have people. You had a friend whose husband had not just one but two babies outside the marriage,
Mm,
and people be bringing home diseases, all kind of stuff. I swear I would be in jail for murder if my husband did something else like that. Come and bringing me something or talking some crazy stuff like that. Y'all be putting a GoFundMe together. I'm not trying to let you
that's
see me,
horrible.
know you like that, but that's how enraged I would be. If I'm
Yeah.
doing all this to protect myself and then I get with you and we're married and then the one person who I expect to not give me some dreadful something is the one who does it. Oh my God, I would be out of control. Out of control.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I know you would.
Yes, Il Gambio with the guest and I are both from the Bay Area in California. Okay, so now that becomes a big question too. What sign are you astrologically?
So I'm a Cancer. I'm my birthday is in June 23rd. So that'd be Cancer.
Okay, all those people who wanted to know. There you go. You know who's a
I
Cancer?
hear
LL
we're
Cool J is a
visionaries. I hear we're
is a
visionaries.
Cancer. Yeah. Well, let me see. I've known some Cancers. And they're very, very loving people, very committed. Killing with the fire, Greta, girl, you know it. You know that's what happened. Let me look at my list of questions and see if there's anything else I want to ask you. Okay, yeah, let's talk about manhood right quick. That was one of the topics that we need to cover before our hour is up.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think, like manhood versus from your dad and uncles in their era versus what young guys today perceive as manhood? What do you see as the big difference?
Well, well, for one, I think the further back you go, the tougher the generation was. The further back you go. So I think people like my dad, my grandfather, my uncles, they were raised in a lot more difficult era, and so I think the way I feel about it, I feel is that they're a lot more harder than we are. The truth of the matter is that my generation and beyond are just more softer by nature, and I'm not saying there's anything necessarily wrong with that. But yeah, I mean, I think like my father's a lot more hardcore than I am. He just is. I'm not the man my father is. Um, I'm not like how my uncles are. They're just a different breed. I mean, you can even relate this in a sports sense where you see football players playing back in the day with leather helmets and maybe just a sweatshirt and stuff. Now you got all this equipment on, and you can't have enough
Yeah.
protection. So yeah, I mean, it was just a different era. Maybe it was just that's just the way it was. I know that things were tougher back in those days, not having some of the things that we have today, not having some of the technological outlets, and you know just the more today's a lot more reasonable, I would say, so you can kind of express yourself in a different way.
Hmm.
And also what society, what's thought of as a man. Um, back then, I can remember, you know, um, some of my family members telling me that you had to do certain things, to be considered a man. Well, now it's a little bit different. And I mean, but I mean, every generation is different, and I guess you can only be who you are. So
One thing I
hopefully.
think contributed to some of it is that there's no draft anymore. The young men don't have to beat, they don't get toughened up in the service. They have an option. But I think that's a missing ingredient in them learning sacrifice,
Right,
um, to have pride in themselves, to be
right,
disciplined, to learn how to, overcome challenges and stuff like that and come out on top. I think
right.
it builds a different kind of self-esteem and confidence that a lot of the young guys now just don't have. And I think it is directly related to that because it's like since the guys have not been, drafted, that's when the young manhood just started going all just to pot, and it just has not been the same since.
Yeah, I mean, you might be onto something there. I mean, that's just it's just a change in generations. Things change, and I can remember when we were little, we used to get like spankings, and we
Mhm.
got whoopings, you know, and that was like a way, that our parents was to kind of show you that, so have some discipline, and if you do something wrong, there's consequences for it.
Exactly.
Well, it got to a point where I guess some people were going a little bit over the top with the beatings, and some kids, were severely beat and maybe even killed. And so I'm sure that kind of led to like like a whole change in everything. It's like, okay, well, we can't do this anymore. So you take the chastisement out of them. So now kids are more bolder than they've ever been. They feel like they can just kind of say whatever they want to, and without having any consequences. So I think part of it is just, cause and effect. You got to know right from wrong, and you just have to know if you don't do something right, there's consequences for it.
Yeah, these kids, but there aren't any consequences. Their parents jump in and save them from every single thing and run interference. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And it's like, how you gonna have a grown man that you uh-oh, what did I do here? A grown man that I messed up my chat somehow. Oops. I can't see the chat now.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. I clicked something and I
Oh,
made it go to full
what
screen
you
and then
do?
I
What
made
you
it go
do?
to some other screen and now I don't know how to get it back. Oh boy. Anyway, I guess I won't worry about it. Um I'll just fake it till I make it. Oh, there we go. I got it back. I
Okay,
got it
good,
back.
good,
Okay,
good.
let me see if there's any more questions for you down here. Oh, dang. This girl says that men don't even have hearts most of the time these days.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of men have been conditioned to chase money and booty. Okay, a lot of men have been conditioned. So, a lot of men today are like that. And but you know what? You got to be patient. You got to keep looking. There's always nice guys with who have a heart, and gentlemen such as myself out there. I mean, you just got to look. And you got to keep on finding. You got to keep grinding, and keep trying to find what you want.
Yeah, that's how things get. and out here. So what closing comments do you have about finding somebody and using internet dating successfully? Are you still doing it? I mean, is that still the your preferred method of finding
Oh,
somebody?
I would love to find somebody, but the truth is, I haven't been on in a while. I haven't been on in a while. I've kind of got disinterested with it a little bit, and I've kind of got a little bit more heavily into my music production, and so I really haven't had the time to do it. But I'll get back to it. But
And you
I
guys,
just
he's into oldies, even though he's considered a youngster, because 38 is still young. Um,
it's still young, but I have a soul that's older than you would ever know. You would
yeah,
ever
because he's
know.
listening to music like my parents used to listen to. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
What's
I mean,
going
I'm big
on?
on
What's really happening here?
all of it. Motown, Stax Records, the sound of Philadelphia, especially. That's some stuff that I really, really love and keep near and dear to my heart. The Stylistics are one of my favorite groups.
See, what?
Uh,
How would
yeah,
somebody 38 know about the stylistics? This is just too funny to me.
yeah. I'm just a music head. I get a lot of it from my father. He's also from Philadelphia. We're big music lovers, and it's just something I've always gravitated to from a young age. But I would just tell everybody, if you want to go online dating and all that stuff, just be careful, safety first, and take your time. And I think just those two, just do those two things. That should kind of guide you and lead you to where you want to go, or
Okay.
basically what you're trying to find.
You guys hear that? Everybody? Yeah, everybody should be careful. Oh, I know one other thing too. Women who have kids just doing this online dating. What do you think about how they should handle themselves?
Well, I think they should be honest about it. If you got kids, you got kids. It's not automatically a disclaimer for at least not for me. And I'm sure there's many men out there who's not going to just say I don't want to be with a girl because she has kids. But I think you want to be careful because if you're a woman, because you can easily get into this thing where you're bringing a lot of guys around your kids. You're trying to date, Larry, this didn't work. You're trying to date Harry, that didn't work. You're dating Kevin, this didn't work. You dated Kareem, and you guys kind of got to it. So I just think that you want to take your time, but that's not easy to do. That's not easy to do for everybody. But I would say it's just a lot of patience. Yeah.
Those are wise words. Well, I want to thank you for coming and giggling with me today and just sharing your thoughts on online dating and relationships and all this stuff going on in our society. It's just kind of eye opening. I'm gonna have to go and load up one of them apps and take a look at it, just be nosy.
Yeah, you should. You should. It's a trip. You'll see how things have changed, and it's really, really pretty simple. And I would say give it a try. And see what you can find.
Shoot, I would be using that as fodder for my show. I'll be on here. Y'all, let me tell you about these fools that I met this week. That's all it
Hey,
would
they,
be for me, research.
hey, they gonna think you got money. They're gonna say, "Uh oh, she doing her own show."
Yeah, well, won't they be surprised? Won't their feelings be hurt?
Yeah. Oh wow.
Okay, Glenn. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for coming. And I guess I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, Deb. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'll see you later.
Okay, not a problem.
All right. Bye bye.